Ludicrous Feed is proudly sponsored by Carloop, data to empower Australia's EV revolution, and Hankook, driving emotion. Hey everyone, it's Tom here from Ludicrous Feed. Thank you so much for joining us. In this video, I'm going to go through the BYD Sealion 7 full battery electric vehicle, of which the pricing and the specs were launched here in Australia yesterday. And in this video, we're going to go through the website configurator, as well as going through some key discussion points, including the range and efficiency of this vehicle, which of course has been a point of discussion in overseas markets as well. Well, first of all, let's go through this email which I received from BYD yesterday, which I'm sure a lot of subscribers would have as well, from EV Direct, our local distributor here. So these are the key points of the BYD Sealion 7. So 4 premium colors, we'll go through that in the configurator. It's available in premium and performance all-wheel drive models, and of course powered by the ultra-safe BYD Blade battery. And it also has heated and ventilated front seats, and a heated steering wheel and heated back seats for the performance version. That's what the asterisk is there for. There's also a new driver seat position memory, so hopefully they are buttons on the side of the vehicle. That'll make it easier than trying to go through the infotainment screen each time. It's got a head-up display like my BYD Seal, V2L compatibility like all BYD vehicles at the moment, and other safety features like blind spot detection, driver attention warning, and child presence detection too. 500-litre rear trunk and 48-litre front trunk, which is great to see. So the premium model starts at $54,990 plus on roads, and the performance model comes in at $63,990 plus on road costs. So a $9,000 difference between the premium and performance model. We'll go through the different specs to see whether it's worth that extra $9,000. Orders are now open. All right, so let's go through the configurator now. So these are pricing for New South Wales, my home state. You can see here, I'll just make it bigger for you guys. So there we go, $54,990 for the premium edition and $63,990 for the performance version. And drive away in New South Wales is $58,148. So another $3,200 extra. And this is all with the basic configuration as well, which we'll go through very shortly. So let's have a look at the pictures to start with. So there it is, the BYD Sealion 7. And by the way, if you want a full walk around of this vehicle, I did that in Singapore recently on my family vacation. So check out that video, of course. I go through pretty much all the insides and walk around the outside as well. We'll do that, of course, once I get the Australian edition press car. So stay tuned for that. So there it is in Aurora White from the front 3/4 shot. And there it is from the side. And there it is from the inside as well. And there it is back to the front. So, look, I quite like the look of this vehicle. Obviously, it reminds me very much like of my Seal, which of course I like because I bought the vehicle. And what I like about BYD vehicles is that they have designed the car in such a way that it looks very much like a vehicle, right? It's nothing too outrageous. It will basically fit into the Australian vehicle landscape. It'll fit into Sydney roads, Melbourne roads, Brisbane roads. It'll look like pretty much every other car. And I think that's what some people like about BYDs. It's not too out there. It's not too outrageous in design. Even though it's been designed by a European designer in Wolfgang Egger, he's been a key figure in designing the current generation of BYD cars. And you can see there, it's quite a sporty looking coupe. Even though it's an SUV, you don't really get a sense of it in this shot, and in real life as well. It's actually got a lower height than most SUVs on the market, and quite a fastback looking vehicle at the back as well. So I quite like the shape of it. It's certainly sportier looking than some of the other competitors in this segment, which we'll go through as well at the end of this video. So there it is from the side. And inside as well, looks very much like my Seal, very similar styling. Nice stitching as well on the seats, center console, and the instrument cluster screen has been integrated into the dash as opposed to being a separate screen like my BYD Seal. Okay, well, let's go through some of the key specs of the Sealion 7 Premium. So 82.56 kilowatt hour BYD Blade battery, 482 kilometers of WLTP range. We'll talk about the efficiency and the range at the end of this video, comparing it to other cars in this segment. 0 to 100 in 6.7 seconds, thanks to a 230 kilowatt rear-wheel drive powertrain, 380 newton meters of torque, 11 kilowatt AC charging. That's really good to see because currently all the BYD cars are 7 kilowatts. So being able to use a 3-phase charger now at 11 kilowatts is really good for quicker charging. 150 kilowatts DC charging, that's to be expected for the 3.0 platform on an LFP battery. Head-up display, genuine leather wrapped steering wheel and seats, which is great, like my BYD Seal in the premium edition. 19-inch alloys and this frequency selective dampening for the suspension and improvement in ride, and rear-wheel drive, like I said, complimentary 1-year roadside assistance. We'll go through the warranty and servicing as well later on. In the performance trim, so you get a faster car, 0-104.5, extra 160 kilowatt front motor, making it 390 kilowatts combined, 690 newton meters of torque, and similar charging speeds. You also get heated steering wheel and heated rear seats as well in the performance version. Otherwise, 456 kilometers in WLTP. That slightly decreased range is due to the extra motor and heavier car as well. In terms of colors, Aurora White is standard. Now, I didn't realize this, but the paints have actually increased in price a lot. This is also the same with BYD Seal as well. $1,500 extra for the Atlantis Grey. They've removed that lighter blue color, which I didn't mind, but that's gone now from the range. And the Cosmos Black and the Shark Grey color, $2,000 extra for that color. So that's $500 more than the black and also the Atlantis Grey. I don't mind this color, this greyish bluey color. Grey's not bad either, but if I were to buy this car, I'd say the grey is my pick. White is odd. It's not the sort of very white, like Colgate white, some people are calling it, but it's more like a pearly kind of white. I don't mind a white car actually, but even better if it's not like fully white. This is a nice kind of pearly off-white. 19-inch alloy wheels and only black interior is available, and you can choose a whole bunch of accessories as well. So once again, drive away 58,148. If you pick a different color like the Cosmos Black, 59,723, and then Shark Grey is $60,000. So it's pushing 60 grand if you want a Shark Grey. Going back to performance, if you pick the performance version, so drive away 67,598. And if you pick the Atlantis Grey, 69,000, and then if you're picking Grey, Shark Grey, it's just under $70,000 here in New South Wales as well. All right, well, let's have a look now at the servicing and warranty. So let's scroll down here. So the Sealion 7 premium servicing schedule is every 12 months or 20,000 kilometers. I've done a couple of services already with my BYD Seal, so check out those videos, see what you think. Is a 12-month service a bit too excessive for an EV? Some people are saying so because obviously there are less moving parts with an EV powertrain. Having said that though, it's probably nice to have someone check over your vehicle every now and then. Is every 12 months too much? I don't know. I think personally 2 years might be a good thing, but certainly 12 months might be too much for some people. $246 including GST for the 12-month service. This is more expensive than the Seal. If I just scroll down to Seal Premium, $165, so a bit more for the Sealion 7. And also at the 24-month mark, it goes up to $358. For the Seal Premium, goes up to $545. So it kind of balances out a little bit over time. Okay, and then the next thing I want to talk about is vehicle warranty. So yeah, it's no secret that the BYD warranty is probably a little bit disjointed compared to other OEMs. You get an 8-year traction battery warranty, limited to 160,000 kilometers, with a guaranteed state of charge of 70% after 8 years. And then you get this odd, very fragmented warranty description here with different parts being warranted for different time periods and kilometers driven as well. But for the whole of the vehicle, excluding things like the multimedia system, the lead-acid battery, air conditioner filters, it's generally speaking about 6 years, limited to 150,000 kilometers. So take it or leave it, that's the warranty. I've heard from other media reports that BYD Australia, or at least our distributor, is trying to streamline the warranty for their vehicles. So stay tuned, I'll bring an update if they do come around to doing that, which will be good. Just quickly looking at the specs, you actually get a lot of inclusions with the premium or the entry-level version of the Sealion 7. You can see, I'll just decrease that a little bit. So the middle dot means that the specs are included in both the premium and performance. You can see the majority of them are right down the middle, so both trims get a lot of the safety features, which is great to see. And also the faster charging, 11 kilowatt AC and 150 kilowatt DC as well. V2L is there. Obviously the specs are different in terms of the powertrain. So, it's we talked about the fact that the performance version has an extra 160 kilowatt front motor. That makes it a bit of a heavier car. Otherwise, the same length, same height, and also same battery size as well, 82.56 kilowatt hours. And also one thing interesting to note too is that the rear-wheel drive premium version has different width of tire from front to back. So 235/50 versus 255/45 between front and back. Just a little note there. And the only difference really in the other specs is that obviously the performance version gets the heated steering wheel and also the rear heated seats as well. So apart from that, like I said, both cars get a lot of inclusions for both specs. Now just back on the paints actually, you can see in the BYD Sealion 7 and also the BYD Seal, by the way, you just go to premium here, you get the Shark Grey for both premium and performance for the Seal. Dynamic misses out on Shark Grey. But like I said, $1,500 for both Sealion 7 and Seal for the Atlantis Grey and Cosmos Black versus $2,000 for the Shark Grey in both Seal and Sealion 7. That's interesting because it's starting to feel a lot like Tesla, where they charge more for paint. Certainly red paint costs a lot more in the world of Tesla. Whereas, a car like the Xpeng G6, right, all the colors are actually included in the cost of the vehicle. So they've really tried very hard to keep costs down here in Australia for the Xpeng G6. Even the orange, which is kind of like the hero color, is also included in the cost of the vehicle too. Whereas BYD, I guess they're a bit more established now. They can push the boundaries a little bit and afford to charge a bit more for their paints, therefore keeping the cost of the vehicle low, as you can see. All right, well, let's go through some points for discussion. And given that we've gone through the configurator now, let's talk about the range and efficiency of this car. So going back to the configurator here, so the BYD Sealion 7, 82.56 kilowatt hour battery. The Seal also has in the premium spec, which you have to compare with because there's no essential or dynamic version of the Sealion 7. The premium version, which I have, the BYD Seal Premium, is 82.56 kilowatt hour. WLTP range of 570. I get about 500 in real world terms. Whereas the Sealion 7 has a WLTP of 482 kilometers. They've even tried to bury it down a bit deeper in the specs as well, in the front page. So why is that? I mean, yes, it is a heavier car. The weight of the Sealion 7 is somewhere between 2.2 to 2.3 tons, depending on the variant, whereas the Seal is 2.055 to 2.185 tons, depending on the variant between premium and performance. So yes, it's a heavier car in general. I mean, it's the same battery size, but perhaps the motor's heavier. And just because it's a bigger car as well, it's just that extra weight, a couple hundred kilograms there, has obviously affected the efficiency of this vehicle. That's been verified by other reviewers overseas where they say it is quite a thirsty vehicle. I'll try and do a real world range test myself once I get a press car, of course. So yes, it is a slightly less efficient car compared to a Seal, for example. Same manufacturer, same battery, slightly smaller vehicle and slightly lighter vehicle as well. In terms of the battery and platform, look, it is still the E3.0 platform, which is the same as the Dolphin, same as the Atto 3, same as the Seal, so nothing has changed from that point of view. We don't get the Excellence trim like they do in Europe and China, particularly in Britain. They get the Excellence trim, 91 kilowatt hour, based on the EVO 3.0 platform. So why is that? I don't know. Whether Australia will be bringing that Excellence trim later on down the line, perhaps, maybe. But that definitely has an 800 volt battery architecture, which means we can charge that vehicle at over 230 kilowatts at its top speed. And look, I must admit, I was initially annoyed why that vehicle and why the EVO 3.0 platform wasn't coming to Australia. But then again, I thought about this, and it was actually the Xpeng G6 road trip that I did to Melbourne recently with Joy and the family, that I realized, you know what, it doesn't actually matter that much, because in Australia, we don't actually have that many 800 volt chargers that will allow the new Sealion 7 to charge at those speeds, even if it has an 800 volt architecture. So, you'd be hard pressed to find a working, reliable 350 kilowatt charger in Australia that can allow the Sealion 7 to do that. Even if you've got a Tesla supercharger, which are all 400 volt chargers at the moment, even the open access ones, with an 800 volt architecture, at best case, you'll get at the most 100 to 120 kilowatts of charging speed DC. Worst case scenario, it doesn't work, as I've discovered with the Xpeng G6. I'll do another test of that vehicle, of course, later on to make sure it does work again, because they promised a software update. So I think overall, I'm not as fussed now, knowing that the DC charging network in Australia has still got a long way to go to support these 800 volt cars. We're hoping brands like Zeekr that can bring in their Zeekr power and populate, for example, the Hume Highway, our busiest stretch of road between Sydney and Melbourne, to bring those faster 800 volt architecture chargers. Then I might say, look, you know what, I actually do need an 800 volt architecture car so I can charge faster on the highway. But at the moment, you know what, the difference is actually negligible between a 400 volt car versus an 800 volt car. It might not actually be worth paying the extra if a manufacturer like Kia or Hyundai is going to charge at premium to advertise the faster charging rates. So you know what, I think BYD's actually done the right thing in Australia by not bringing the faster Excellence trim like they've got in the UK and China. So you know what, we'll stay tuned. We might see an improvement in the DC charging network in the next couple of years. In that case, yes, I would be arguing the case that BYD should be bringing the Excellence trim. So there you go. That's my opinion on the fact that we don't get the the excellent EVO 3.0 platform cars. I'm not too fussed that we're only getting the existing 3.0 platform. Is it the BYD Blade 2 battery? Look, I don't think it is officially, but what's not to say that BYD are making incremental improvements with the original BYD Blade. Obviously, that's privileged information, which I don't have access to. We don't know for sure. But you know what? The BYD Blade battery is still very good, even if it's still generation 1. Okay, so the last thing I want to talk about is a quick comparison between the BYD Sealion 7 against its competitive set here in Australia. We've got a lot of mid-size electric SUVs in Australia because we just don't have the tariffs for Chinese EVs in Australia. So we are getting literally inundated with a lot of choice, which is not a bad thing. It's actually a good thing for consumers. We've got so much choice now, all the way from Tesla down to Geely EX5, which is about to launch very shortly as well in Australia, and then the Zeekr 7X, which I haven't put in this chart because I don't have the specs just yet for this market. But you can see where BYD Sealion 7 rests in this current market. So 4.83 meters is actually the longest of all the mid-size SUVs, all the way from Kia EV5 to, BYD Sealion 7, which is the longest. 82.5 kilowatt hour, it's actually got the biggest battery in this category, and that's probably why it's such a heavy car, because it's an LFP battery compared to, say, Deep Power SO7, which is a similar size battery, but NMC. So having a denser battery means it's going to be a lighter vehicle. But because BYD Sealion 7 is LFP, 82.5 kilowatt hour means it's quite a heavy car at 2.2 tons. In terms of pricing, it's not a bad price, $54,990 for the base trim, and it's only slightly more expensive than the Xpeng G6. But then again, you've got to account for the fact that you've got to pay more for paints, and don't forget taking into account the servicing and warranty costs as well over time. Tesla Model Y is still more expensive, but it is the launch edition. Paints are included, so I'll be curious to see how much the pricing is for the non-launch edition. I'll update this chart as time goes on. So you can see it's quite an efficient vehicle, 60 kilowatt hour LFP, achieving a WLTP of 466 kilometers. Tesla's very well known for its efficiency, of course. BYD Sealion 7 being rear-wheel drive, it's fantastic. Only the Kia EV5 is front-wheel drive, unfortunately. And you know what? Of all the vehicles, BYD Sealion 7, 230 kilowatts is actually quite a powerful vehicle. Much more powerful than all the other, I guess, Chinese cars like Xpeng, Deepal, Leapmotor, even Geely, and it's actually more powerful than the Tesla Model Y. So again, the weight of the motor might be contributing to the overall weight of the car as well. 11 kilowatt AC charging, fantastic, and 150 kilowatt DC charging is definitely mid-ranged, better than the Deepal and Leapmotor, and also the Geely and Kia EV5 as well, for a similar price. So there you go, that's a quick comparison of the BYD Sealion 7 with its competitors in this segment, which is good to see. And let me know what you guys think of the Sealion 7 since the pricing and specs are now available here in Australia. Question for me, will I be changing my Seal to the Sealion 7? On a personal note, probably not. I don't need an SUV as such. I actually quite like driving a sedan. As you know, those who follow my channel, I quite like a car that's lower to the ground. I feel like it's more aerodynamic for my needs. My wife Joy, on the other hand, she is potentially looking for a new SUV. That'll be our family car. We currently drive a current generation Tesla Model Y, so good to see so much choice on the market. I think Xpeng G6 is probably up there as a replacement, even the new Tesla Model Y perhaps, and you know what, I'll be suggesting the BYD Sealion 7 as well. So lots of internal discussion amongst my family and lots to think about as well in the coming months. But stay tuned on the channel to find out what we decide in the end. But for me personally, I'll be sticking with the Seal and probably even looking for a smaller car because my son is going to be learning how to drive this year and will be on a provisional license next year. As you know, in New South Wales and many states in Australia, there is actually a restriction on provisional drivers, so I can't own a vehicle that's too powerful because this next car will be shared between me and my son, so I'll be watching the specs and the powertrain very carefully, as I'm sure many parents with similar age teenagers to mine will be as well in the coming years. Alright everyone, I'm Tom from Ludicrous Feed. That is a quick rundown of, well, not so quick, but that's a fairly detailed rundown of the BYD Sealion 7, which I am very happy that it's now launched in Australia, and I'll be very interested to see whether the Excellence trim will come to Australia in the coming months as well. So stay tuned. If it does, I will certainly keep you guys all up to date. Otherwise, thanks so much for watching. Until the next Ludicrous Feed video, happy charging.